Dan, when are Democrats going to learn when you make it about Trump, you lose and he wins?
Well, look, Leland, I disagree with you a little bit here. I actually think that the first thing for running for president here is you got to have some game, right? You're going to be running against Trump, whether you like it or not, for the next 3 years, right? Trump's going to make it about Trump. And think about it. We're talking about Gavin Newsom. He's getting under people's skin. Fox News is responding to him. You have some of Trump's senior aides, Stephen Chung, went after him. Like, Newsom is loving this. The other thing you need is you need volunteers. You need donors. You talked about it. His social media numbers are skyrocketing. Now, what he doesn't have is an agenda, which is Trump's secret sauce. Trump's got game, and Trump had things to say when he first came down that escalator. But no presidential candidate, Leland, 3 years out, is putting out white papers and getting people excited. First step, number one,
well, but Donald Trump didn't put out white papers either. He came down the escalator and said, I'm going to build a wall and throw out the rapists and murderers. And everybody went, you can't say that. And then he became president. I think something's interesting, though. Well, that's fair. But, Shelby, I think Dan makes a good point. Donald Trump is leaning into this. Hartley Carter, star producer, put together a little mash, if you will, as we call it, of how Donald Trump treats Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom is incompetent. He's got a good line of bull, but that's about it. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Did you ever hear of Gavin Newsom? Gavin Newsom, he's the governor of California. He signed Newsom, I call him. Governor Newsom from California. Isn't that his name, Newsom?
Shelby, Trump loves this, doesn't he?
I think to an extent, Donald Trump, he always likes a foe, and this is sort of a foe right now. This is somebody who Donald Trump can take aim at and target, and you've seen him do this even before Gavin Newsom started to sort of troll back. And so I think the question is, this is getting eyeballs for Gavin Newsom, but what's next? Because eyeballs only takes you so far. Eyeballs don't win elections. It's not going to win a 2028 presidential campaign, for example. And so what does Gavin Newsom do with those eyeballs? As we mentioned earlier, part of the reason Donald Trump won was because he did talk about things that voters care about. And part of the reason that Democrats have struggled is because Democratic voters don't feel like they've been represented well by the party. And so is Gavin Newsom going to move beyond just trolling Donald Trump and start talking about things like the economy, like the cost of living, like crime?
Right. And look, Dan, the question I have about Gavin Newsom and to a certain extent about J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, if you want to put them on the same scale, but they're both trying to run against Donald Trump. And at the same time, number one, Donald Trump isn't going to be the 2028 Republican. But number two, does that not put their states of Illinois and California center stage? And why does Gavin Newsom want the focus right now, when he's still governor of California, on his record in California?
Well, that's it. I mean, look, that's his biggest Achilles heel, and I would agree with you. It's the same for J.B. Pritzker. And Shelby just said it. He's going to have to put meat on the bones. Where's the energy right now substantively in the party? It's the No Oligarchs tour of Bernie Sanders and AOC, and it's Zohran Mamdani here in New York City talking about socialism. Ultimately, you said it in your lead up earlier, Newsom started talking to Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon and kind of talking about needing to move to the middle. Newsom will ultimately have to put out an agenda, and he's going to have to answer for California. There's some great stuff that happens there, and there's some bad stuff that's happening there.
Okay. Interestingly enough, there is, I think, energy in the Democratic Party, at least a little bit, for this. Michelle Obama was so famous for saying, when they go low, we go high. Charlemagne the God had his own version of this after watching Gavin Newsom. Take a listen.
When they go low, you go to hell, okay? And Gavin Newsom over the last week and a half has been going to hell with the Trump administration. Not even really going to hell, just matching energy, and I like it.
Shelby, beyond the numbers on Twitter and Instagram and the prediction markets, is there any evidence that Gavin Newsom is capturing something in the party other than cable news mentions?
Well, I think it remains to be seen. I certainly think he is trying to pave the way for a fighter. And that's something that when I was out on the campaign trail talking to voters, they wanted to see more of. They wanted Democrats to fight. Now, is this going to be sort of the new model for the Democratic Party? We don't know that yet, but he's certainly sort of the first one to try something out. Now, I think the ultimate question, again, is, do voters like this long term? Because again, when I was on the campaign trail, I talked to a lot of voters who didn't vote for Donald Trump simply because they didn't like his online persona. They didn't like the drama. They didn't like the theatrics. So are voters going to get sick and tired of seeing Gavin Newsom sort of do the same thing?
Right. And Dan, I guess that's the flip side. And I go to what I started with. You can't out-Trump Trump. I can't believe I'm quoting Joe Scarborough, although I wrote it before I knew that he said it. Everybody who has tried what Shelby's talking about of being a fighter against Donald Trump, I get Democrats say they want it, but everybody who's made the contest about Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton did, Kamala Harris did, it has not worked. Why? And now they're going to make it about Trump when Trump isn't even going to be on the ballot.
Yeah, no, I agree with you and Shelby. Long term, you have to be yourself, right? Trump is an authentic street brawler. I mean, he acted like this in the 1980s and the 90s. It's who he is, and this is obviously not Gavin Newsom's history and persona. Right now, it's showing style. It's getting him in the news. But in the long run, you've got to be yourself.
We actually JD Vance talked about that tonight. Noteworthy. You can't be authentic when you're hanging out with Charlie Kirk saying those are good ideas and I want to move to the center, and now he's doing this. Take a listen.
And this idea that Gavin Newsom is somehow going to mimic Donald Trump's style, I think that ignores the fundamental genius of President Trump's political success, which is that he's authentic. He just is who he is. You've got to be yourself. You've actually got to talk to people honestly about the issues. I don't think it's that complicated. Don't be a crazy person. Be authentic. If the Democrats did that, they'd do a hell of a lot better.
Shelby, when you talk to the White House, at least my sources love the idea that Democrats keep making this about Trump because they think that when they're fighting against people trying to be like Trump, they win.
That's absolutely right. That's exactly what I hear as well. And I think they say that because there's a history of that, right? We've seen that happen time and time again. When Donald Trump is on the ballot, Democrats have lost. And so I think that they're completely content to see someone like Gavin Newsom come out and target Donald Trump, especially because they might say that they're not thinking about it, but people in the administration are certainly thinking about 2028 and who is going to be the next Republican. And when you're talking about Donald Trump, you're not talking about the issues, and you're also not talking about who might be next, someone like JD Vance or Marco Rubio. And so for them, they're okay to sit back and watch the Democratic Party do that because they see it as a distraction, and they see it as a distraction because they saw how the 2024 campaign went.
Yep. Shelby's work in Semafor, I suggest you read it. I do. Dan Turrentine will be out with the morning meeting tomorrow morning. Great to see you both. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.